Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. The only thing that makes me happier than seeing someone trash the HOA is seeing someone trash the government. Our first story is exactly about that. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. 400 hogs delivered to one of the busiest roads in town. A city near me had a farmer holding out as the city expanded. The city wouldn't let him sell his land zoned commercial since it was a farm, while completely surrounded by commercial development. The city wanted him to sell the land zoned for agriculture, basically to let some developer bulldoze the fields and flip it for commercial space, easily 10 times. Settled into a stalemate. The area became more and more developed, housing encroached on the back of his property. The farmer, getting old and tired of this crap, not wanting to pass this fight on to his kids, came up with a plan. The property had been used for soybean and farming corn to this point, not really a burden to his neighbors. He applied for and received proper licensing from the state for a hog confinement lot. In case you don't know, that's where they keep tens of thousands of hogs before they're brought to market, normally located deep in farm country. Stinks for miles. The city tried to stop him legally, but they never incorporated the land in the first place. They tried to stop it at the state. He followed the process to the letter and, well, it is farmland. They thought he wouldn't follow through, maybe. He did. He had 400 hogs delivered to what was at this point one of the busiest roads in town. The locals nearly lynched the city council. In less than a week, the city backtracked a nearly 20-year feud and let him sell his farm for the fair commercial rate as he had originally bargained for. And our second story. Big Boss does not want me to go out with his assistant and fires me. It backfires for him. My first job after college many years ago was working for an office supply company. Started as a summer job and got extended. This was the kind of company that when a big firm moves into a new building, they would roll in with interior architects, designers, electrical workers, IT, gardener, and everything needed to make it ready for business. My job was to coordinate the IT part for the bigger clients. If clients needed special solutions, they billed my time at $600 an hour. I was astonished by this rate, but on a multi-million-dollar bill, this would be a small part. The top boss had a really beautiful assistant. He clearly liked her a lot, and I started to hang out with her. Top boss typically wanted to go to lunch with his assistant and other managers. She would rather be with me, but could not tell her boss this, and with some excuse, she often met up with me for lunch. She was smart, funny, and a blast to be with. We all had company cars. The sales department had at this time received a database of products from some vendors, and it was not compatible with their database. I was asked if it was possible to import it all. Found out fast I could do it in a few days' time. I told them I would do it, but it would take a few weeks since I had to do it when I got open time slots. One weekend, some friends of the beautiful assistant invited her to a party in a city 10 hours away. She invited me to come with, and we both asked for Monday and Tuesday off since festivities were planned until Sunday evening. She got an okay, and I was first told yes by my boss, then, I suspect overridden by Big Boss, the okay was changed to a no. There was really no reason for denying me this, so I suspected unfair play, but the girl was more important to me than the job, so I decided to go anyway. Before I go, I tell the sales department boss he will get his database updated next week and also a program to import future updates from suppliers. He was very happy about this, as this has been a big problem, and they had some big orders waiting for the tools I was writing. Weekend comes, and we take her company car and go. On Monday, boss calls, and I tell him I cannot come in before Wednesday. He tells me that he had okayed the days off, but Big Boss overrode him and denied it. And now Big Boss is pushing him to fire me unless I come in immediately. I cannot because I'm not anywhere near. Wednesday morning, I show up to work and my desk is cleaned out. I'm told I'd been fired. My boss tells me he's sorry, but it was demanded by the Big Boss, and most of my colleagues know what's going on. It's pretty much on my side. Now I load up my stuff and I drive my company car to an attorney. He tells me, 1, until I have a written termination notice, I am still employed and being paid, and also that, 2, The way I had been fired had broken a bunch of laws. He writes a letter to the company that he plans to take them to court. Turns out the company is in the middle of being bought out and that they really did not want a lawsuit while going through this process, so a top manager with a company attorney from headquarters flies out to resolve. They're really PO'd at local big boss for breaking laws when firing me. I think he was mostly PO'd at me for taking his precious assistant away for the weekend and acted irrationally. I agree to settle for $50,000. After the agreement is signed, the local big boss tells me he never wants to see me or have me do any work for him. When the sales department manager finds out I was fired, he's quite upset. He calls me and tells me how sorry he is and asks if I can finish the work for him. It was not much to do and I would have finished it for free, but I tell him I would very much like to, but the big boss has specifically told me I could not do any work for them, so I could not unless I got it in writing from the big boss that he retracted what he said and that he would allow me to be paid as a consultant. He tells me he would talk to the big boss and get back to me. It takes a long time, but after 2 days, I get the mail. I heard there had been some serious yelling at a meeting between the sales department manager and the big boss. Anyway, he agreed, and I billed them 40 hours to finish the tools and set it all up, and then 40 hours for the conversion, all at the usual rate of $600 an hour. After the merger went through, they restructured, and the big boss was laid off. In retrospect, I could have handled things much better, and I'm not proud of everything, but it is my story of a time when the planets really lined up for me. And our last story. IT manager leaves business and does his own right to be forgotten. My friend, we shall call Steve, worked for a company for over 10 years as their IT manager, in charge of the whole system. He had worked his way up from lowly desktop support right to the very top. He was also very into doing everything by the book and within the law, no underhanded shenanigans. The company had recently gone public, shares listed on the stock exchange, and as such needed a director of IT. Steve applied and was pretty much a shoo-in until he was told the new CEO, the original owner, who was pretty much forced to go public by the other two shareholders, had taken his shares and sold them and moved on, had overruled HR and hired someone else. Spoiler, nepotism. And he shrugged and said, well, at least they'll take away most of my paperwork, allowing me to do more work. Oh, how wrong he was. When the new IT director arrived, let's call him Tom, he basically kicked Steve out of his office and into a desk in the main office and did nothing. Steve found out it was the CEO's nephew who he dotted on. Fast forward 3 months, and Steve is pretty much burned out. The nephew had fired his 2 very capable assistants and replaced them with buddies who did nothing, leaving Steve to look around after 400 PCs plus associated servers and network equipment all by himself. He was getting fed up. All the while, Tom kept ordering him to do weird things like reinstall Windows on all the PCs or order him a gaming rig for the office. In one case, go to his house to set up a home network. The final straw came when Tom had got the CEO to cancel Steve's bonus for not meeting all requests made of him. Meanwhile, his buddies, Dick and Harry, got massive bonuses and rewards for their hard work picking up the slack. Steve decided at this point to start looking for a new role. It just so happened he'd kept in touch with the old owner who had started a new business, and after hearing of his woes had offered him a new job at his much smaller company of the same wage. It was also a much shorter commute, and he got a whole new office and a nice set of benefits. Steve, of course, took the offer up, but also decided to plot his revenge. Steve handed in his 3-month notice to HR and began his leaving process, sending emails to the Tom detailing all passwords and processes, plus introducing him to suppliers and whatnot. He also put on the Exchange server a scheduled task to run a batch file 1 week after he left. He also also had one of those on the AD server and file storage servers and the backup storage servers. What this batch file did was open a PowerShell and run commands to delete anything he was the author of, if a file, or was last saved by him. And also to delete any emails sent to him or by him. He also told Microsoft he was leaving this company and moving to a new company on the specified date. More on this later. Steve dutifully carried out his final tasks and said goodbye. And as a last act before he left, he gave HR a typed-up letter stating his wish to invoke the GDPR RTBF regulations and he wants all paperwork he created deleted and the only information left for legal purposes and HR reasons, i.e. pay slips, etc. On his final day, he signed out, handed his laptop in, and left graciously, even buying people drinks that evening at the local pub near the company. He was told by HR his request was completed the following week, but they had to retain certain info, HR docs and payslips for tax reasons, which was fine. Fast forward 2 months. His old CEO rings him up in a panic as things are falling apart. Updates haven't been happening, he can't find any details for suppliers or how to do certain roles. He also had a huge bill from finance as all their licensing costs have gone through the roof. New staff kit is all wrong. Steve kindly explains that he was fed up with Tom doing nothing and hiring his buddies, Dick and Harry, who also did nothing, or worse, made rookie mistakes he was left to fix. He also explained how the cheap license costs were because as Steve had a lot of qualifications from Microsoft, he got discounts on products. Now he's left, and they can't receive them as he's using that privilege at his new place. He also explained the RTBF, Right to Be Forgotten request, saying the director had 3 months to save the info he emailed before it was deleted. CEO then begged him to allow access to the discounts, but Steve said no, he doesn't do stuff like that. Perhaps he should get Tom, Dick, or Harry trained up. He also said maybe instead of hiring your nephew to do a director's role, maybe he should have been hired at the bottom to work his way up, not fail his way down. Steve hung up and has kindly asked not to be contacted again via email through HR. The new job is going great, and Steve is enjoying it a lot from what I hear. Lesson of the story, don't commit nepotism or hire buddies and expect good results. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.